everybody. I apologize, I wasn't here last Friday. I have been out of town attending some conferences and going on some pet food manufacturer tours, which you will hear about in our Friday Facebook Lives to come. But I wanted to come today to talk to you about something that is very important and has to do with your pet food's nutrition every bit as much as what's on the back of the bag on the nutrient panel, and that is pet food storage. You may have seen recently on social media that this was a big thing. There was an article written about this and about keeping your pet food directly in plastic and how that is not a good thing. And we agree. Even though we sell these plastic containers and they do have a purpose, which I'm about to discuss, we do agree that pet food should not be kept directly in, just poured in this container. These containers are great for keeping air out and keeping moisture out and keeping it nice and dry. However, if you purchase one of these containers, we recommend taking the bag of pet food that you purchase and putting it directly in the container and keeping it stored that way. Keep it in the bag. There are a few reasons for that. The pet food has a date code and a lot code. So if your pet has a problem with that pet food, we need it back in the bag because we need that information. It's pertinent information for us to be able to give to the manufacturer if your pet gets sick on their food. That is required information for us to take back a return. So keep the bag, keep it in the bag, and place it in the container. The other thing is we have gone over in recent weeks about not feeding your pet in plastic dishes because of bacteria. The same thing applies to your storage. Plastic can trap bacteria. Just bottom line, if it gets scratched, that creates a crevice for bacteria to grow. Even if you're washing it out once a week, it still is creating a place for bacteria to grow that you can't get to. Maybe you've made spaghetti before and you put that red sauce in a plastic Tupperware container and you can never get it not red again. It's because that plastic has opened up and the red has seeped into those places that you can't get it out. Same thing can happen with bacteria. So leave it in the bag, whatever size bag you get, and put it in the container. These are some great containers that you can also fit bags into that aren't plastic. They are stainless steel or perhaps even glass. If you're going to put it in a glass jar, you can take it out of the bag, just keep the bag to the side. But these bags have been designed that the food can stay in them, and many of the small bags have Ziploc parts on the top that you can Ziploc them closed. If you get a larger bag that doesn't have the Ziploc option, you can buy a clip. I recommend rolling it down or clipping it before putting it in the container. The next question that I'll address is, how frequently should you be coming and getting a big bag? It depends on how many dogs you're feeding and what size of dog you're feeding, but there is a freshness factor. You probably don't like Doritos or Cheetos or chips after they have been open for a month. The same is true for pet food. So you definitely want to encourage smaller purchases that your dog's going to consume within, your dog or dogs will consume within a month. You don't want anything longer than that. So if you're buying a bag of pet food every 3 months, by the time you get to the end of that pet food, it's not as fresh as your pet might like. So I would encourage you to buy it a little bit fresher, go with it monthly. Our frequent buyer programs are also designed for monthly purchases. So definitely find the size of bag that your dog is going to eat comfortably in a month or maybe 6 weeks so that it stays as fresh as possible. It certainly is still good because there is a best buy date on the back, and it is certainly still good 3 months after you've purchased it, and it's not going to hurt them, but it's just not going to be as fresh and not as tasty, right, Merida? In this same vein, when considering storage, if you're feeding raw, I would tell you to leave it in the bag in the freezer. If you take it out of the bag, certainly keep the lot code information and date information, but store it in glass. Be aware that plastic leaches into that product and can cause problems. I would recommend you storing it in glass or in the very least BPA-free plastic in the freezer. So if you have any questions, feel free to leave them below in the comments section or send me messages. And again, we will rejoin you next Friday for another Facebook Live, and we will have all fresh new topics. We've come up with a long list of things that need addressing, and we will be back on Friday to talk about that.